On July 31st, 2026, Donald Trump orchestrated a shrewd political challenge for Xavier Becerra, a prominent Democratic figure. This move pushes Becerra into a high-stakes dilemma over American climate policy, forcing him to navigate a treacherous path between the administration's aggressive regulatory agenda and his own party's environmental commitments. It's a calculated maneuver, designed not just to force a difficult public stance, but to expose fractures within the Democratic coalition and shape the coming debate around energy and economic survival. The moment. Looking at the exact moment of this event, set for midday in Washington, the atmosphere is highly charged. The sun in early Leo signals a moment of executive display and assertion of authority, a bold, highly visible move. Meanwhile, the moon in Pisces describes a public mood that is sensitive, fluid, and perhaps overwhelmed, absorbing the emotional weight of another political collision. The intensity of this moment isn't due to global turmoil. The Barbault Cyclic Index, which measures global geopolitical tension, sits at 846.5, an easier part of its range. This suggests the world isn't in a phase of maximum crisis, allowing this event to be received as a targeted, localized squeeze rather than a global shock. It's a calculated political maneuver, not a spontaneous eruption. Yet, for those involved, the pressure is immense. Mars, the planet of drive and conflict, is precisely on Donald Trump's natal sun, indicating sharp, decisive action and a burst of initiative from him. Trump is a quick builder, someone who moves rapidly and informs others as he goes. This action also unfolds as transiting Saturn opposes his natal Chiron, a point of old wounds. This suggests the maneuver is driven by deep structural pressure, carrying the weight of old grievances and a desire to test his opponent's foundational strength. What it touches. To understand what this dilemma asks of the nation, we look at how this event's sky interacts with the United States founding chart. A defining signature is the near-exact opposition of transiting Saturn to the nation's natal Saturn. In plain terms, a Saturn opposition is like a coming of age, or more accurately, a coming to terms. It's a period when the consequences of past structural choices become due. The nation's authority, institutions, and sense of limits are being tested. For an administration to drop a climate dilemma into this specific astrological weather suggests an intent to force a structural reckoning, making an opponent stand precisely where the national framework is most strained. At the same time, transiting Mars is squaring the nation's natal Neptune. Neptune rules oil, gas, and our collective dreams and illusions. Mars is the spark, the friction. When aggressive action meets Neptune's realm, it often creates a fog of competing realities where facts about energy and climate are blurred by ideology. This is the bind Becerra finds himself in. His own chart shows transiting Saturn tightly squaring his natal Mercury, the planet of communication and thought. This astrological signature points to a constrained voice, a moment when words feel heavy, restricted, or at odds with natural expression. Furthermore, transiting Chiron opposes his natal Jupiter, suggesting a painful test of his core beliefs and political philosophies. Becerra, who naturally needs time for his emotions to settle before finding clarity, is being asked to respond quickly to a situation demanding slow, careful digestion. The dilemma is designed to frustrate his natural timing. Down at street level, these political abstractions land on the kitchen table. When national climate policy becomes a political football, it's not just Beltway reputations at stake. Families feel it in their household budgets, weighing the cost of air conditioning against groceries. For commuters watching fuel prices rise, or steel towns waiting on pay decisions linked to energy costs, these abstract political binds directly impact whether a family can afford a holiday or a winter heating bill. The nation's current water-dominant vitality means the collective is absorbing everyone's struggles. Boundaries are thin, and the public feels the friction of these competing pressures intimately. How it rolls forward. The trajectory of this dilemma is shaped by upcoming eclipses and planetary ingresses. Just under 2 weeks after this event, on August 12th, a total solar eclipse falls at 20 degrees Leo, close to the event's own sun. Eclipses act as reset points, revealing hidden truths and accelerating timelines. This suggests the dilemma won't quietly simmer. It will demand a definitive resolution, or a major shift in posture, soon after it's set in motion. The administration's use of this bind will be tested by the illumination of the eclipse. The market weather, tracked by the Bradley Siderograph, is currently at a low point but trending toward an easing phase by autumn. While the immediate reception of this climate dilemma will bring market stress and public anxiety, the long-term integration will be smoother. The tension is designed to break, not to build indefinitely. As Mars enters Cancer in the weeks following, the battleground shifts. The focus moves from clashes of ideas and executive display to the home territory, domestic energy, housing, and the security of the nation's infrastructure. The dilemma Trump hands Becerra on July 31st is merely the opening move in a longer negotiation about the nation's energy foundation. While no formal tarot overlay was cast, the intuitive image from this chart is the devil archetype. This isn't about evil, but the uncomfortable exposure of chains, political binds, hard choices, and the structural constraints that tie people to systems they wish to transcend. The dilemma is designed to make Becerra feel the weight of those chains. Summary. The event's astrological character is a calculated assertion of executive will under heavy structural pressure, designed to test a political opponent and the nation's foundational framework. The structural reckoning accompanies Saturn's opposition to the U.S. natal Saturn, placing this climate dilemma precisely when national institutions and authority are under maximum pressure to mature. The fog of the energy debate mirrors Mars squaring the U.S. natal Neptune, indicating that aggressive action on climate policy will collide with ideological confusion and competing national illusions about energy. The pressure on Becerra's voice coincides with transiting Saturn squaring his natal Mercury, describing a moment where his communication is heavily restricted and his natural timing is disrupted. The rapid escalation of the bind aligns with the August 12th total solar eclipse in Leo, suggesting the dilemma will force a sudden, highly visible turning point rather than a prolonged stalemate. The shift toward domestic security follows Mars entering Cancer, pointing to a future where the political fight moves from executive display to the tangible realities of household energy and national infrastructure. Finally, the eventual easing of tension tracks the rising Bradley Siderograph through the autumn, indicating that while the initial moment feels tight and stressful, the broader market mood will begin to absorb the shock without breaking. The astrology describes a climate of enforced maturity where the political architecture of American energy policy is bent and tested, but not yet broken. Recent history and where this is heading. The Subtly chart for the United States, along with the personal charts of Donald Trump and Xavier Becerra, are currently being buffeted by one massive slow-moving cycle, Saturn conjunct Neptune. Symbolically, this is the jackboot in the fog, a pushing of boundaries that dissolves old diplomatic frameworks and forces a retreat from global vibrancy into strict, self-contained territories. This explains the current gridlock. It is not just a personal policy disagreement, but a structural struggle where Trump's aggressive boundary-pushing clashes with the bureaucratic fog that clings to Becerra's climate mandates. As this tense pattern persists, the slow-turning collective wheels suggest the focus will inevitably shift from the courts back to the ground. The upcoming total lunar eclipse in Virgo, occurring in March 2026, is expected to sharpen the lens on these material concerns, likely dragging the administration away from high-level obstruction and back toward the hard-hitting domestic realities of housing and energy that are under such heavy strain. Before you go, it is natural to feel off balance when the political winds shift with such heavy force. A weekly transit reading helps you locate your own weather window within the chaos, giving you a practical sense of where the next few days might bring relief or resistance in your own life. It turns that abstract news into your own personal map for the week. And if the weight of all this feels like it's choking off your options, a tarot reading focused on shadow work gives you a compassionate way to strip away the chains and look at what's really holding you back. It's a method to take something confusing and turn it into clear, structured permission to confront what's blocking you, without fluff. A word from the channel. If this perspective helps you find a foothold in the story we just discussed, please tap the like button to support independent work. But I need your help. I want to know what you want us to investigate further in the comments. So, I'm handing you over to William, who is turning this situation into a tarot reading right away. It's a pleasure to meet you, and to explore this complex moment which Marcus has so clearly laid out. Let's see what texture the tarot cards add, turning this political dilemma into a navigable narrative. First party, United States, Six of Cups reversed. The Six of Cups reversed shows us a nation facing a profound sense of disrupted nostalgia. This card suggests an inheritance, political systems, or perhaps environmental commitments failing to provide their promised comfort. With the current sky highlighting a structural reckoning, the United States finds its traditional operations are no longer reliable, creating a collective uncertainty about our future foundations. Second party, Donald Trump, Two of Wands. The Two of Wands presents a figure surveying his domain, globe in hand, contemplating world-shaping actions. This perfectly aligns with the Mars on Sun initiative, a moment of decisive, strategic positioning. Yet, the card warns of trivial disappointments, suggesting the dominion achieved may be less substantial than it appears, a subtle risk in such calculated moves. Third party, Xavier Becerra, King of Cups. The King of Cups depicts Becerra as a fair-minded administrator, cup in hand, striving for equilibrium amidst turbulent seas. This resonates with his natal need for emotional settling time, which has now been disrupted. The card's warning to beware of ill will and hypocrisy points directly to his political bind, where his responsible nature is tested by forces seeking to exploit his diplomatic posture. First and second, United States and Donald Trump, the devil. The devil signifies a profound bind to chains of an inescapable material or political reality. It mirrors the Saturnine pressure in the Mars-Neptune fog, depicting a relationship based on contentious obligation and shared, perhaps destructive patterns. The nation's disrupted foundations and Trump's aggressive authority create a trap neither can easily break free from, without first confronting some very uncomfortable truths. Second and third, Donald Trump and Xavier Becerra, Five of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles is a stark image of exclusion and hardship. Two figures pass a lighted window, shut out in the cold. This reflects the dilemma's core, an action designed to leave Becerra and what he represents out in the cold, facing a choice between destitution and compromise. It is the practical, damaging consequence of the strategic move initiated by the Two of Wands. First and third, United States and Xavier Becerra, Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles shows a relationship built on a strained juggling act. Becerra must balance the nation's competing needs, symbolized by the Two Pentacles. The troubles here are more political than material. This resonates with his Mercury squared by Saturn. His communication is an act of juggling immense pressures, trying to maintain stability, while the United States itself is unstable. The heart of the web, temperance. At the core of this dynamic is temperance, a desperate winged need for balance. The angel mixing essences finds the precise blend to prevent destruction. This is the hidden engine, a deep systemic need to temper aggressive action with compassionate administration, to find a middle path between opposing forces before the situation boils over. It is the antidote to the devil's chains. Where the web turns justice. Development points toward ultimate accountability, and justice signifies consequences meted out according to actions. This aligns with the upcoming Leo eclipse, promising a revealing light. The current polarizing standoff will eventually find balance in the scales, suggesting that while one side may achieve immediate political victory, the long-term judgment of policy impact on the people will be the final arbiter. Summary. When we weave these cards together, we see a nation grappling with its past, caught in a profound struggle for power and exclusion. Yet, the delicate balance of temperance and the ultimate reckoning of justice remind us that while political maneuvers may create temporary binds, true stability can only be achieved through compassionate, honest accountability. A word from the channel. You have stayed with this story all the way from the stars to the cards, and I cannot thank you enough for that journey. Because Via Staro is still finding its footing, that like or subscription means everything to us as a small channel trying to share our voice. Please drop a comment with your thoughts or what you want to see next to help shape our future. We'll see you again very soon.